Sometime in the late 1940s, in a packed restaurant just steps from a boxing stadium in Buenos Aires, a cook burned a breaded beef cutlet so badly the top of it had gone practically black. Throwing it out meant walking into a full dining room and admitting he had ruined the order. So instead, he did something desperate. He slapped a slice of ham over the burnt part, drowned it in tomato sauce, buried the whole thing under a blanket of melted cheese, and sent it out to the table as if he had meant to do it all along. That panicked little cover-up became one of the most ordered dishes in the entire country. It has the word Naples sitting right there in its name, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Naples, or with Italy at all. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about Italian food. Some of the most Italian-sounding dishes on the planet, the ones with the rolling vowels and the checked tablecloths and the little accent marks, were never actually cooked in Italy. They were invented thousands of miles south, in Argentina, by Italian immigrants who missed home so badly, they built an entire second cuisine out of memory, homesickness, and whatever they could get their hands on. By the end of this video, you will be able to walk into any so-called Italian restaurant and quietly spot 10 dishes that are secretly, stubbornly Argentine. And the last one on this list is not even a food. It is the drink that half of Argentina is holding in its hand right now, and almost nobody outside the country knows the truth about where it really comes from. My name is David, and this is Food Origins, the show where we pull back the curtain on the food you think you already understand, and chase it all the way back to where it truly began. Hit subscribe, because this one is going to rewire the way you look at your next plate of pasta. Here's the piece of history that makes all of this possible. Between the 1860s and the 1950s, somewhere around 2.5 million Italians left home and sailed for Argentina. Not a trickle, a flood. By some counts, more than 60% of Argentines today carry Italian blood. Buenos Aires ended up with more Italian surnames than half the towns in Italy. Whole neighborhoods spoke a mashup of Italian dialects and Spanish, called lunfardo. And when you drop that many hungry, homesick Italians into a country overflowing with cheap beef and endless wheat, with cattle stretching to the horizon, they do not just recreate the old country. They invent something brand new and slap the old country's name on it. So let us get into it. Food number 1, the Milanesa napolitana. Let us finish the story I started with. The Milanesa itself really is Italian, at the root. It is a direct descendant of the cotoletta alla milanese, the breaded, pan-fried veal cutlet from Milan that Italians have been making for centuries. Immigrants carried that recipe across the Atlantic, and in a country drowning in beef, it exploded. The Milanesa became the single most beloved comfort food there is in Argentina. But the Napolitana version, the one topped with ham, tomato sauce, and melted mozzarella, that was born in Buenos Aires. And here is the detail that stops people cold. It is not named after the city of Naples. It is named after a restaurant. The most widely told story credits a place called Napoli, run by a man whose establishment sat near the Luna Park Stadium, sometime around the end of the 1940s. A cook burned a Milanesa, panicked, and covered the damage with ham, tomato, and cheese to hide the scorch marks. The customer loved it. Word spread. The dish took the restaurant's name, Napoli, and over time people simply assumed the poor thing came from Naples. It never did. Walk into a trattoria in Naples today and ask for a Milanesa napolitana, and you will get a blank stare and possibly a menu thrown at you. It is an Argentine invention wearing an Italian costume, and it fooled the entire world. And it is only the beginning, because the next one is a food so famous that an entire country genuinely believes it belongs to them. And they are only half right. Food number 2, Argentine pizza. Now, be careful here, because I can already see the comments loading. Yes, pizza is Italian. Pizza, the concept, the flatbread with tomato and cheese, was born in Naples, and nobody in Argentina is trying to take that away. But what Argentina did to pizza is so extreme, so complete, that it became a different food entirely. When Neapolitan and Genoese immigrants landed in the port neighborhood of La Boca in the late 1800s, they started baking pizza the only way they could afford to feed a crowd. Thick, heavy, piled with cheese in quantities that would make a Neapolitan weep. The Argentine style, the pizza al molde, is baked in a pan with a tall, spongy, bread-like crust, and then absolutely smothered under a mountain of mozzarella far taller than anything you would ever see in Italy. In Naples, pizza is about restraint. A whisper of tomato, a few torn leaves of basil, a slick of buffalo mozzarella, gone in 90 seconds in a screaming hot oven. In Buenos Aires, pizza is about excess and generosity. Cheese pull for days, eaten standing up at a marble counter at places like Guerin on Avenida Corrientes, which has been slinging slices since 1932. And Argentines eat it with a glass of sweet Moscato wine and, very often, a slab of something called faina laid right on top, which conveniently is exactly where we are going in a moment. But first, there is a stuffed cheese bomb of a dish that Italy would barely recognize, and it is coming up next. Food number 3, the fugazzetta. This one is where Argentina takes a genuinely Italian idea and mutates it into something Italy would not know how to name. It starts with fugazza, which comes straight from the Genoese word fugassa, which is just focaccia, that simple olive oil flatbread from Liguria. Simple, humble, ancient. And then Buenos Aires got its hands on it. The fugazzetta is a double-crusted pizza, 2 layers of dough with an obscene, glorious avalanche of melted mozzarella sealed inside, and the top crowned with a heap of sweet, soft, sautéed onions. Here is the part that surprises everyone. There is no tomato. None. A dish that looks and smells like the most indulgent pizza on earth, and it does not contain a single drop of tomato sauce. The cheese-stuffed version, the fugazzetta rellena, is widely credited to Buenos Aires pizzerias, with the historic Banchero in La Boca often named as the birthplace of the cheese-topped fugazza back in the 1890s, and joints like La Mezzetta turning the stuffed version into a religion. You will not find this in Genoa. You will not find it anywhere in Italy. It is a purely Argentine act of cheese-fueled ambition. And it is usually served right next to the strangest, most misunderstood item on this whole list, which is up next. Food number 4, faina. If you have never been to Argentina or Uruguay, there is a very good chance you have no idea this exists, and that is a genuine tragedy. Faina is a thin, golden, savory flatbread made from nothing but chickpea flour, water, olive oil, and salt, baked until the edges go crisp and the middle stays tender. Its ancestor is real and Italian, the Genoese farinata, a Ligurian street food that goes back centuries. Immigrants from Genoa brought it over, but what Argentina did with it is the invention. Because in Buenos Aires, faina is not eaten on its own. It is eaten a caballo, which literally means on horseback. You take a slice of faina, you lay it directly on top of a slice of pizza, you stack them like a sandwich, and you eat them together in one glorious carbohydrate on carbohydrate bite. That ritual, that specific pairing, that phrase, is pure Rio Platense invention. No one in Genoa is eating chickpea bread stacked on pizza. It is a thing that could only have been dreamed up by immigrants improvising in a new world. And it is now so normal in Argentina that ordering pizza without faina feels almost incomplete. We are nearly halfway through, and I promised you the truth about a national drink, so hold on, because we are building to it. But first, we need to leave the pizzeria and walk out to the fire. Food number 5, provoletta. Remember the promise at the very start of this video that some of the most Italian things you can imagine were never Italian at all? This is where it gets undeniable. Provolone is unquestionably an Italian cheese, a firm, tangy, semi-hard cheese from the south of Italy. That part is real. But provoletta, the dish, is 100% Argentine, and it was practically engineered for the asado, the Argentine barbecue. Here is what it is. You take a thick disc of provolone, you season it with oregano and a scatter of chili flakes, and you throw it directly onto the grill over the coals. The outside forms a blistered, golden, crackling crust, while the inside collapses into a molten, stringy pool of pure indulgence. The invention is widely credited to an Italian immigrant named Natalio Alba, who, the story goes, adapted his beloved provolone to the paella back in the 1940s. Italians eat provolone. They slice it, they melt it, they cook with it. But grilling a whole seasoned wheel of it over open fire until it becomes its own dish, plated and eaten with bread, that is an Argentine idea from start to finish. And it sits at the heart of nearly every Argentine barbecue, right alongside the beef. Now, if you are enjoying this, do me a favor and hit that like button, because the next few are the ones that fool even people who think they know their food history. Food number 6, Sorrentinos. This one is almost too perfect. Sorrentinos are a round, plump, filled pasta, bigger than ravioli, usually stuffed with ham and cheese or ricotta, sealed into little discs and served under a rich sauce. The name practically screams Italy. Sorrentinos. From Sorrento, that gorgeous cliffside town on the Amalfi Coast, obviously. Except, no. Sorrentinos were invented in Argentina, and not even in Buenos Aires, but in the seaside city of Mar del Plata, most likely in the 1930s. The most repeated origin story ties them to a restaurant in Mar del Plata that took its name and its inspiration from Sorrento, and created this new stuffed pasta to match the romantic Italian theme. The name was marketing. The pasta was local. Travel to the actual Sorrento in Italy today, walk into a restaurant, and ask for Sorrentinos, and the waiter will have genuinely no idea what you are talking about, because the dish does not exist there. It never did. It is an Argentine invention that borrowed the name of an Italian town it had never met, and it worked so well that millions of people assume it crossed the ocean in a suitcase. It did not. It was born on an Argentine coastline. And speaking of things Argentines built their own traditions around, the next one comes with its own superstition, its own calendar date, and its own hidden ritual with money. Food number 7, the gnocchi of the 29th. Gnocchi, those soft little potato dumplings, are genuinely Italian, and I will not pretend otherwise. But there is a tradition wrapped around them that is entirely Argentine and Uruguayan, and it is one of the most charming customs in the whole of South America. On the 29th of every single month, families across Argentina sit down to eat gnocchi. Not the 28th, not the 30th, the 29th. And here's the part that makes it magical. Before you eat, you are supposed to place money, a coin or a banknote, underneath your plate, as a little ritual to attract prosperity and wealth for the month ahead. Why the 29th? The most common explanation is beautifully practical. By the 29th, the end of the month has arrived. Payday has not quite landed yet, wallets are empty, and gnocchi, made from cheap potato and flour, was the food you could still afford when there was almost nothing left. Hunger and cleverness, dressed up as a superstition. It is so deeply woven into Argentine culture that the phrase hacer gnocchis, to make gnocchi, even became slang for a government employee who collects a salary but only shows up on payday. Italy gave the world the dumpling. Argentina gave it a calendar, a coin, and a whole layer of meaning. 2 more before the big one, and trust me, the drink at the end is worth the wait. Food number 8, matambre alla pizza. Now we are really off the map. This is a dish that takes something Argentine and dresses it up as Italian, which is the reverse of everything else, and it is brilliant. Matambre is a thin cut of beef, the flank, the layer of meat that sits between the skin and the ribs. Its name literally translates to kill hunger, and someone in Argentina looked at this thin sheet of grilled beef and thought, what if we treated it like a pizza base? So they grill the matambre until it is tender. Then they spread tomato sauce across the top, blanket it with mozzarella, scatter oregano, and sometimes olives or roasted peppers, and melt it all together until you have got a sizzling slab of beef wearing a full pizza costume. It is called matambre alla pizza, and it is a fixture of parrillas and family barbecues across the country. There is no Italian ancestor for this. Italy would never put molten pizza cheese on a sheet of grilled flank steak. This is Argentine ingenuity, taking the flavors the immigrants brought and welding them onto the national obsession with beef. It sounds Italian, it tastes Italian on the tongue, but it was forged over Argentine coals. One more food, and then the reveal I have been teasing since the very first minute. Food number 9, Argentine ice cream, the gelato. Gelato is Italian. The art of dense, silky, small batch Italian ice cream is one of the great gifts Italy gave the world, and Italian immigrants carried it straight into Argentina, where it landed in a country that fell completely, obsessively in love with it. But what Argentina built on top of that foundation became its own thing entirely. Argentine gelato is arguably the finest ice cream tradition outside Italy, and in many neighborhoods, it rivals anything you will find in Rome. The gelaterias are everywhere. They deliver to your door at midnight, and they are built around a flavor that is unmistakably, gloriously Argentine: dulce de leche. That thick, caramelized, milky sweetness gets churned into a dozen variations. Plain dulce de leche granizado shot through with chocolate flakes, super dulce de leche for the truly committed. The Italians brought the technique. Argentina fused it with its own national obsession and created a gelato culture so distinct that Argentines abroad genuinely mourn the loss of it. It looks like gelato, it is served like gelato, but scoop into that tub of dulce de leche granizado and you are tasting something that could only have been born in Argentina. And now, finally, the one I have been holding back since the start. The one nobody outside Argentina fully understands. Here it comes. Food number 10, and the one I promised you from the very first minute. Fernet con coca. Now, technically, Fernet is Italian. Fernet Branca is a dark, bitter, intensely herbal liqueur invented in Milan in 1845. A medicinal amaro made from a secret blend of dozens of herbs, roots, and spices so bitter it borders on punishment. In Italy, it is a niche after-dinner digestivo, sipped occasionally by a small circle of devotees. That is it. That is the Italian story. Now here is the Argentine story, and it is staggering. In Argentina, somewhere in the 20th century, most famously in the city of Cordoba, people started mixing Fernet with cola over ice. Fernet con coca. And it did not just catch on, it became the unofficial national drink of an entire country. Argentina now consumes the overwhelming majority of all the Fernet Branca produced on the planet. Let me say that again. A bitter medicinal liqueur invented in Milan is consumed almost entirely by Argentines, thousands of miles away, in a form that Italians never invented and mostly find baffling. There is even an unspoken ratio, roughly 70% cola to 30% Fernet, poured into a glass over ice, and genuine arguments break out over the exact proportion. It is at every party, every barbecue, every gathering. Italian immigrants brought the bottle. Argentina invented the drink, the ritual, and the obsession. Fernet con coca is the perfect ending to this whole story, because it is the entire pattern in a single glass. Italy handed Argentina the raw material. Argentina made something the world now thinks it understands, and completely misattributes. 10 foods, 10 dishes, one enormous, beautiful misunderstanding. A Milanesa named after a restaurant, not a city. A pizza so overloaded it became a different food. A chickpea bread you eat on horseback. A cheese you throw on the fire. A pasta named after a town it never visited. A dumpling with a coin hidden under the plate. A steak in a pizza costume. An ice cream built on caramel. And a bitter Milanese medicine that an entire country turned into a party in a glass. None of these are fakes. None of them are lesser. They are something more interesting than that. They are what happens when millions of people leave everything behind, cross an ocean, and try to rebuild the taste of home from memory, and accidentally invent an entire new cuisine in the process. Italy gave Argentina the ingredients and the names. Argentina gave the world dishes it still has not figured out were never Italian at all. I am David, and this is Food Origins. If this changed the way you see your next plate of pasta, hit that like button and subscribe, because we have got stories exactly like this one lined up for cuisines all over the world. And tell me down in the comments, which of these 10 surprised you the most? Was it the Milanesa named after a restaurant, the Sorrentinos that never saw Sorrento, or the Fernet that conquered a country it was not even born in? I have a feeling it is going to be different for every single one of you.